I remember getting engaged with Cascale from 2015 because that was the time that the new FEM version 3 was being developed. And throughout that period, so I ended up in the steering committee for the FEM 3. I did play quite a lot of roles within SAC's formative stages. Sorry, Cascale's formative stages, including working in the Social Labor Convergence Project, including being in the steering committee for brand and retail module, as well as being one of the initiators of what we used to call the Facility Improvement Council, which later ended up as the Apparel Impact Institute. So I've been working with Cascale from 2015 up to now on a sort of a almost continuous basis. I am the head of sustainability for Epic Group. I formulate strategy as well as lead the execution of it. We have a quite an ambitious sustainability strategy, I have to say that, including reduction of absolute emissions and freshwater use by 50% by 2030 against 2019 baseline. And that's doubly difficult because we are a company that grows very, very fast. So part of the strategy that I'm working on is blueprinting and designing factories that are going to function as net zero carbon and net zero water. It's something that we as industry hasn't put a lot of effort into it, but that's the only way that we can grow while making commitment to net zero in the future. In addition to that, I also have responsibility in the product space. On one side, improving the sustainability of the fiber that we use in our products and that we offer to our customers, but also very, very sharp focus on step changes in our denim laundry impact, because that's where the largest impact of our business is. So quite a lot of innovations, both from process, machinery, chemistry, as well as fabric technology goes into innovating around that. The last part, and this is not the least by any means, is looking at how the industry transitions towards more sustainable setting and try to shape and influence the industry. Because we firmly believe that we as a company cannot be sustainable by ourselves, but sustainability exists within a larger community. So just focusing on our own organization is simply not enough to meet the challenges that we face right now. It's, I think, much more difficult for manufacturers to decarbonize while growth than for brands, in my opinion, because a lot of the emissions and the difficult emissions to reduce is here. And some of the countries where manufacturing is concentrated have actually structural issues that makes it difficult to decarbonize. That could be legislative, it could be availability of renewables, it could be the status of the grid. So there are quite, and it could be as simple things like availability of technology and skill. And all of those are important. So to me, this problem is the complexity of supplier decarbonizing is also very geographically predetermined. What is possible in one country may not be possible in another country. So I think I am in some way fortunate because the way our company is currently proceeding to grow actually allows me opportunities to create net zero carbon and net zero water facilities. But that required us to completely rethink how a factory should be designed and operated if your target is net zero. A lot of the time, how we build factories is replicating an existing model and recreating it maybe with minor modifications. What we realized is that this is no longer enough. So EPIC is building a new set of factories in India, and I'm working on this project right now. And one of the things we did in that project is to completely rethink everything and challenge each and every assumption of how a factory should be designed, how it should use energy, what sort of energy should be using, what sort of changes we need to do to process and machinery so that that change can actually come out to be. And one of the expectations is that after we finish building it and successfully operating it, is actually to create a blueprint of this model so that others can also draw inspiration and actually follow that. Because although we've been speaking about net zero industry for the longest time, it is unfortunate that we actually don't have a blueprint to follow. So we want to create that. And even within these type of projects, we've been fortunate because we've been able to work with some of our brand partners and work together in creating this type of models. So some of these projects are actually collective action in its real meaning of the word. To me, this is the foundation of sustainable factory because it looks at all of the different impact areas. It sets a platform on which the impact reduction can actually happen. To me, GFEM is a necessary but not sufficient condition, but it sets the platform, right? Why do I say it sets a platform? It sets up the measurement systems, it sets up the target setting, it looks at individual practices, how do we identify improvement areas, but also it looks at how we are organized as a company, whether sufficient focus and sufficient skill and organizational structure exists for the serious long-term decarbonization and nature improvement processes that we aspire for in the industry. I think the impact reduction programs has to sit on top of that. And that's the piece that I believe Cascale's future is in terms of how do we work with our members, the large industry, and other external organizations, including our ecosystem partners, so that the impact reduction actually starts happening on top of the platform that we have built through FEM. Before I joined the apparel industry, I was a climate researcher. So climate is an area of focus for me that predates my engagement in the fashion industry. I think the first part is to understand that we are in a very, very deep and urgent crisis as far as climate is concerned. And it is much, much worse than what we can imagine. Because what happened in the last 12 months in terms of a climate perspective is something that even climate scientists are struggling to understand. So, and when climate scientists are getting scared, we really, really need to panic because they are very conservative. So I think the first part is to understand the urgency and how those impacts are likely to happen and impact our own industry, all the way from, say, for example, fiber availability, to how climate-driven disasters can disrupt trade, logistics, as well as how it can incite war. So that's point one. If you don't understand the urgency, we are not going to work in a manner that is appropriate for that urgency. The second part of the conversation is about one of the things I feel that is lacking in the industry is really thinking across the value chain. So what do I mean by that? We divide even if you take decarbonization, we divide our work saying that, okay, this is my scope 1 and 2, I need to focus on scope 1 and 2, and I need to tell others to do scope 3. So that level of separation and individualized action is not going to be enough for us to actually hit any of our targets. A lot of the challenges we already have in terms of climate action is sometimes based on the specific business model we have. Our business model that we use in the fashion industry is optimized for speed and cost. So a business model that is designed for that cannot be just switched into something that also delivers sustainability. So we need to go back to and ask, how are we organized as an industry, look into our business models and say, does this support sustainability? And if not, what do I need to do to go and change? The third part is that climate action and sustainability is not only about decarbonization. It really is also about adaptation. It really is about understanding how climate is impacting our business end to end and trying to ensure that business disruptions don't happen or you reduce the risk. And that means we need to talk about adaptation, okay? And one more thing I really want to emphasize is that this is a very people-centric industry. We have millions of apparel workers around the world who actually make the garments that is the main product in our industry. A lot of these people are the first who get affected when climate-related disasters strike. They are the ones who are under heat-stressed conditions during heat waves. They are the ones who are whose residences get affected when there is floods or cyclones. So if we don't take an honest approach to look after the people, that is the real driver of this industry, we cannot make any claims about sustainability. And the final piece is that we need to come together and work together. We cannot be pointing, saying that this is the target I'm giving you, you do this, you do this. That level of allocation, the era of that level of allocation is gone, because I believe that we have tried that path and it has failed to deliver the scale of the impact we need. So we need to look hard among ourselves, convene, bring people together and start working together so that we actually have can drive impact. And in my opinion, this is the most important task in front of Cascale, because we are the most suited organization to bring people together. That's our core strength, because we represent brands, we represent manufacturers, we represent affiliates, the service providers, the NGOs, the academics. And we have the correct group of people and the correct mindset to create that platform for collective action, that platform to bring people together. And I think that's the future for Cascale.